that was kind of along the lines of, do you think any of these towns are going to do any of this, or we're going to leave it all up to Cavalier? There's the Cavalier table back there. And by the way, it wasn't easy for them either, but they keep fighting through it to make it work. So I'm going to continue on because we don't have a whole lot more time. And by the way, there is is it homecoming? Oh, no, it's a graduation here today. So that's how powerful places like this are. So this is the next one on our list. And let's see, Stacy, did we already get that camera going? Stacy, did we get that going?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, sorry. There's some editing she's going to have to do now that I did that. So number 32 on our list is to develop a Homesteading Act. This whole area was founded on homesteading. There are cities all over the United States that are paying people to come live in their city for 2 years. And I kept thinking, there's got to be a way we could do this. But because look at this. I mean, here we go. Tulsa, $10,000. Muncie, Indiana, $6,000. All these cities are paying people to go live there. I think you could do it without paying a dime if you say, we will give you a piece of property to build a house on. Because one thing I've heard is you don't even have any housing if we want to live here. I mean, I've been out to towns, and every town we went in, we go onto Realtor.com, Zillow, and there's nothing anywhere. And so if we start taking down dilapidated properties and then putting in new properties, and by the way, there would be strings attached. You get a free residential or commercial property because a lot of these small little downtowns are never going to come back. When you have a population of 100, 150 people, you just really can't have a full-fledged downtown. It's just not that difficult in modern times to drive to Grand Forks or wherever you need to go. But if you could say, okay, and so some of those commercial properties could turn into residential or live workspace. Financing assistance, you must build on the site within 24 months. At least start. You have to be completed within 36 months. It must be your primary residence for 2 years. No trailers, no modular homes. It has to be, no mobile homes. It has to be stick built, which means from the ground up, or modular, which they are an actual house that comes in modular sections. And you must be working remotely. If you did something like this, number one, you get, by paying somebody $10,000 or $15,000 to come live in your community for 2 years, there's no question they're going to spend more than that. But I really think the goal is to have families stay here, have a house here. And if in 2 years they decide to sell the house they lived in to build a bigger one, fantastic. We're just creating new economics. But if the Redevelopment Authority starts getting rid of dumpy old houses that cannot be lived in, I've seen them with falling down roofs, windows blown out, commercial buildings, you name it. I just think that if you did a Homesteading Act from the state level, and so the Redevelopment Authority could come in and buy these properties, and then what they do is they raise them or whatever. Some of them may be able to be revitalized. And then what you do is you create these opportunities that increase your tax base, property taxes. You're increasing your residential base, which now is services. Whether it's legal, accounting, medical, all those services. We're creating population. And I think this is the way to do it. And we've heard of groups I speak at colleges sometimes, college students sometimes. And when I do that, when you talk to them, they have like groups of people that say, well, there's 4 of us families. We've been tight-knit. We grew up together. We'd like to come into a town and get 4 or 5 of these lots, and we're all going to help each other build a house there, and then we could be part of making the town better because they're civically inclined. They want to do that. They want to be part of the solution. And one thing that millennials look for is they want to see change. They want to see positive change. They're not going to move into a town. We went into one town, took a picture of a tavern, and some guy came out and said, what the hell are you doing? If you treat millennials coming in to check you out with the good old boys network, guess what? They're not going to stay. They're going to go, whoa, we're out of here. One town down, we got 40 left, and they keep going through that. And so That's homesteading. That is one I would love the state to see do a home. We're not asking the state to fund it. We just want to create a law that would allow it. You know, where communities could take properties, buy them, and we want to get them because when we buy them as a redevelopment authority, they're off the tax rolls. We want to get them back on the tax rolls. And you could do it by homesteading, getting your young people to come back. We've talked to people. We had a dinner at Frosty Fox in Grafton with a bunch of major employers. And somebody from Marvin Window says our biggest problem is we can attract employees, but there's no place for them to live. That's in Grafton. And we did find half a dozen houses for sale, but there's just no housing stock. And so that is something you could do to fix it without having to just pay cash for people. You're actually creating construction jobs. Then, while that's going on, I want you to do a billboard campaign. And I would do it probably from Grand Forks north. I probably wouldn't do it from Fargo to Grand Forks, because then it'd be treading on Julie's territory, trying to get those people from Fargo to go to Grand Forks, right? And so I thought if we could do some billboards. Now, a couple things. Number one, the number one reason people travel is to visit friends and family. Number one. Number two, they travel for business. Number three is leisure traveler. So we need to educate the locals about what you have, because when we talk to locals in all four of your counties, said, what is there to do around here? You know what we heard. Go ahead and say it. Nothing. Nothing. We heard it over and over and over. So wouldn't it be cool if you had billboards like that? How many people that live here, and so we want these north of Grand Forks, we want them on Highway 2, we want them, and there's not that many once you get out of Grand Forks. Between Fargo and Grand Forks, there's like a gazillion. But if we do this top 3 wall lights, I wonder how many locals would go, I wonder what they picked. See what I mean? Even as a local, are you curious? Well, what lakes do they pick for walleye? And I'm not sure this would be, but what we're trying to do here is educate people. They're now in the Rendezvous region. And remember what I said earlier, that people have to see something 7 times before it sticks. So if we're commuting from Grafton to Minto, or from Minto to Grand Forks, or wherever we're commuting from, and we go by this 7 times, we're going to remember it. But what I want them to remember more than anything is Rendezvous region. I want every single person in these 5 counties outside of Grand Forks, that circle, and we want people in Grand Forks to know about the Rendezvous region, of course. But what we're trying to do is get them to go, oh, Rendezvous region, what's that? Where's that? And if we can tweak their curiosity, top 3 golf courses, what are they? I wonder which ones they picked. And by the way, to pick these, you can go to Google reviews, you can go to TripAdvisor reviews, you can go to Golf Digest reviews, so it doesn't have to be politically driven. And by the way, with the marketing of this, if they go to the website and says, here's the top 3 golf courses, we're always going to say, and if you like those, here's 3 more. And if you played those, here's 3 more. We're not taking anybody out. But you know what? If they do your best ofs and they have a good experience, they're going to come back and do the next set and the next set. And so if we can do billboards like this, we are educating people that they are in the Rendezvous region. And we might even do a few closer to Grand Forks where we put the Rendezvous region ahead 10 miles and then do welcome. You know, whatever it is, we're trying to educate people, including newscasters, radio hosts, print publications, you name it, of this area and what it's called. And we're also, by doing this, is teaching people how to spell the word rendezvous. Our creative director, Greg, sent me his first brochure. He was helping do brochures, and he had rendezvous with an E on the end. And then the next one he sent me didn't have a Z in it. I can't remember what he put in there. But anyway, it's not that easy. But this way we're teaching people. And so by doing these kinds of billboards, you're teasing your locals because they're going to want to know, well, best downhill skiing. Now that one's pretty easy to figure out. It's not like you have a lot of downhill skiing. And so, but you know what? It's the best in the region. And then top 5 biking trail, whatever it is. We put teasers up there so that people coming through. And by the way, with billboards, you never ever use more than 14 words. 8 or fewer is better. Billboards should never look like print ads. You have 4 seconds. So we have welcome to North Dakota's Rendezvous region. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, basically 11 words. So it has to be short and sweet and to the point. But our whole idea is to put these out there. Now, I actually talked to the billboard companies. We actually saw one coming north of Grand Forks, heading north, that's vacant. A lot of times, because you're promoting the public good, billboards will give you, say, well, if we have one for farmers insurance and then we have another one coming up 2 months later and we have downtime, we will rent you that billboard for a lower price. And these days, billboards, in the old days, by the way, billboards were hand painted, if you can believe that. These days they have vinyl wrap, so they can actually take your wrap off, put it on another billboard. Normally these billboards go for about $2,500 a month outside the metropolitan Fargo, Grand Forks area. We talked to some billboard companies and said, well, if you don't mind us shifting them around depending on other campaigns, we could lease them to you or rent them to you for either free or like $500 a month. And so one thing, remember those traffic counts I showed you? Like 8 million people driving by them on 29 each year. And so this is the kind of thing we're doing. So we definitely, as they come down from Canada, wherever we can find a billboard, we'd like people to say, welcome to the Rendezvous region. You know, we'd love to have it when we're coming up, maybe even in before we get to Grand Forks, right around Thompson area, is just say, Rendezvous region ahead 10 miles. And you know, so then on the other side, you know, a little bit out of town there towards Manville there, maybe we go, okay, welcome to the Rendezvous region. I mean, definitely, you know, right there. And so going out, you know, out highway, this is why we want Highway 2, because, you know, Devil's Lake is already a huge attraction. Wouldn't it be great if people would think that there's something before they get to Devil's Lake? Because there is. I wonder how many people know. And so that is, and then even coming from Devil's Lake, if they're coming that way, introduce them to the Rendezvous region. It is the quickest, cheapest, fastest, easiest way to get your local residents. And by the way, I can put 81 on 81, which a lot of locals go. There's several billboards, so we'd probably even do some of those. Because remember, we're trying to educate locals first, since the number one reason people visit is to visit them. We want them to know what the top 3 golf courses, the top 5 historical attractions, or in any one of your things. You know, and so we just, I mean, this is, look at this. I don't know when this happened, but that must have been fun. I took that picture, I looked at that one and said, whoa, talk about getting stuck. But any one of these, you know, so when Amish Gallery says, hey, our campaign ends in March, and they say, well, we have another one starting in June, we'll say, we'll take May. This would all be next year, so this is 2023, because we have to get ready first. But all these billboards, we talked to Newman, they own most of them, and so there's some cool things we could do. And so that's a pretty big campaign. As a matter of fact, we had like 90,000, I think, was in there for that. And so it's just, but can you imagine that? Would that get your attention? By the way, yellow always pulls the eye. Yellow always pulls the eye. And so that's what we did, welcome to in yellow and that. And so doing this could make a huge difference. And then using billboards like that, sitting there. Put the wrap on that one. You know, I'm not even sure who owns that one, but that's coming north. And so all of these create great opportunities for you. So we would just do it. If Panera says, okay, we're ready to drop ours, can we fill in the gap? So this is a way about telling people that you exist. Remember what I said, getting on the map. And that's number 33. 34, the billboard campaign to a PR effort. We would tell every newspaper, every magazine, every television newscast, television station, that we are putting Rendezvous region on the map. And we would go to them and say, we want your weather stations. When you're talking about weather in northeastern North Dakota outside of Devil's Lake, we want you to refer to it as Rendezvous region. We have done this in major markets like even Seattle. So they'll do it. They just don't know what to call you. And so this is tying a PR program, local news programs, to that, so that television, radio, newsprint, online, regional news, you name it, that you exist. You know, your primary markets would be Bismarck, Fargo, Moorhead, Grand Forks, Winnipeg, you know, and actually, Julie and her crew does a really good job marketing Grand Forks, one of the best in the country. And I'm not saying that because she's here, but she really does. It's outstanding. If you ever want to see good photography that you need to emulate, talk to her. But one thing that Julie represents Grand Forks, yet she is on the Rendezvous Region Board. They contribute. So for her to try to bring people into Grand Forks, you know, I'm not sure if she's for this or not, but we're saying, can we pull some of those people out here? And I think Julie would say, sure. If I'm going to bring them into Grand Forks and you can get them out for the day, she still wants those hotel nights, right? But that's something you're short of. I mean, that's where her funding comes from mostly. And so once again, it's really a great partnership that somebody, because we're not trying to compete with Grand Forks. You can't. You can't compete with Grand Forks. No town outside of Grand Forks can compete with Grand Forks. And I say that in a good way, because Grand Forks is an amazing destination. Talk about the things they're doing are amazing. Downtown is just, I mean, I was dumbfounded how great it was. But being able to tap onto what her marketing efforts to get people spread out a little bit, even just for the day trips. That's why we want Nelson County and East Grand Forks County as part of this. And so these are, I mean, by the way, Grand Forks is primarily going to be, day trips, because they live in Grand Forks. It's easy for them to go almost anywhere and head back home. But I mean, these are all the different stations. I think almost all of those are in Fargo. We want to reach out to all of those. So once you do these billboards, we need to tell them why we're doing it and what it's about. I mean, this is about getting you on the map. And then make sure the homepage of Rendezvous Region actually lists those. So if we go to the Rendezvous Region's homepage and they don't know where's these top 3 golf courses, where's these top 5, where are they? So on that homepage, I just superimpose this over the existing website, which is well done. But see, if we did these to match so that the second they go there, right on the homepage, we can click on it. Then you will start to close the sale. And when they go to a page and it says, top 5 camping spots, and we show the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we probably wouldn't put them in, we would just say, here's 5 of the top. We're not going to put one over another. But then we can say, and by the way, you want some more choices? Here's the next 5, the next 5, the next 5. So we're not counting anybody out. Always promote your anchor tenants, because success breeds success. I mean, I think people come from multiple states to go to Icelandic. Am I right, Mike? He gets people from all over going to Icelandic. It's one of the best camping spots. It would obviously be in the top 5, but maybe we got Turtle River in there. So we got a couple of state parks, and then maybe there's 3 other ones. We don't know yet. I mean, Listicow, I love, so we have to do that. So that's the other thing is, once we put those on billboards, we got to make sure they can find the answer. And then number 36, barnwood. Remember those old buildings like this one? You know what? We're about ready to build a house, and I want this barnwood so bad. I keep going, man, can I just go in there? But I'm so close to 81, I'm not sure people would notice me pulling boards off of the place in Ardoch. But what could happen is the Redevelopment Authority that buys these buildings doesn't have to just tear them down. A lot of times this wood is worth a lot of money, particularly now with timber price. People will come here and they'll buy tons of wood. So it's a way to actually fund, you're cleaning up blight, but you also have something that you could sell to help buy more properties. And so, I mean, everywhere we went, I could show you pictures I could show you probably 250 pictures like this in your 4 counties. And they need it. I mean, there's no way that's ever going to be rehabilitated, but it's got some wood that might be decent shape. But everywhere we went, there were so many of these. And if it's not barnwood, it could also be brick. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people want to use brick. So all of these everywhere, I mean, just look at all this stuff. That's the last one. I could keep going all day. But great opportunity there to help generate revenues, to buy more properties and get them revitalized, sell the barnwood. And it's a high commodity. Number 37, work with local fire departments to create some practice burns. So if there are properties where there's really not much salvageable, and I took this in, where was I? Who can remember? Oh, Conway. We were in Conway, and I took these pictures, and by the way, I think in a couple of pictures, you could still see the smoke coming up. So they had just done it within a couple of days when I was there. But they actually went in, this residential, so they got rid of it. Almost everything except for the bathtub, if anybody wants one. But look at the properties. Without a dilapidated house there, it looks like an awesome piece of property. It's got trees, it's got lawn area, it's gorgeous. But if you did these and then you said, we just took this down, it's now available for homesteading or redevelopment. Even if the property owner says, come in and tear down, burn my old house, these practice burns are great for fire departments. And so that's another solution to getting rid of the blight. And then number 38, work with your waterway authorities or boards for the highest and best use of each waterway. We don't know. You need to help us out. I mean, Fordville, I put a Lake Fordville. It could be Fordville Lake. I hope start calling them lakes, at least in your marketing. We would love to see Department of Transportation get rid of all the damn signs. Get that? And change it with lake signs. But I don't know, would this be good for, does it get a lot of wind? Would it be good for sailing? Or do they allow motorboats on it? And if not, would it be good for stand-up paddleboarding, birding? One of your state legislators came up and said, Roger, you know what? We're one of the top birding spots. I'm going to add that to your list of brochures. Birding is huge, and they spend multiple days. And I didn't realize, she started talking about the species and the flyway that you get. And I kept going, wow. So maybe some of those are great birding sites. But we need to know, what's the claim to fame for these different rivers? You know, Drayton is the only one that's actually done that. Catfish capital of the North. I mean, it just jumps out at you. I mean, so they've got, but all these other ones, I don't know what their claim to fame. What's the highest and best use? We don't want to say our lake does something for everyone. We want to say, here's our top 3 paddling lakes. Here's our top 3 wildlife viewing lakes. Here's our top 3, bass lakes. Whatever it is, we want to start identifying these because they're beautiful. I mean, look at this place. We travel everywhere we go with kayaks. And we kept going, which lake would we go on? Which one would be best for kayaking? We don't know. And we couldn't find any information. I mean, obviously, this looks like a good one. And of course, it's right next to Icelandic, so we're right there. I mean, and actually they rent stand-up paddle boards and kayak stuff, which is really cool. And so all of these are great opportunities. Is this the Pembina River? Or is that in Pembina? It is the Pembina River. Okay, I couldn't remember. And here's Aneta. Is it Aneta or Anita? Aneta. Yeah, that's what I thought. Aneta, I mean, look at that. It's just beautiful. Now, obviously, this is not going to be a big water skiing lake. You know what I mean? But it might be great for watching birds, and I mean, just look at these. Look at what you have. I would take these any day over Devil's Lake unless I'm water skiing. I mean, these are just great. They're great little lakes. They're peaceful. They're quiet. There's Stump Lake now. That one, you can see whitecaps when we were out there. But even look at that. I mean, this was just amazing. I mean, how awesome. But we need to identify them. So we need to talk to the water boards. What do you like here? What's a way for us to promote the lake that you're in charge of so that we don't harm it, we don't harm the wildlife, or we don't overfish it, or whatever it is. And so that's what that recommendation is about. Number 39, redesign their website. Sooner or later, we wanted to redesign Rendezvous Region's website. And there's nothing wrong with their current website. They've actually done a really good job considering their budget. But we want to showcase your area as 4 seasons. I'm not saying this is what your homepage will look for, but wouldn't it be great if you said pick your season, which means, guess what, we're open year round. How about that? And then pick your passion. Winter, spring, summer, fall. You could even put your seasons in there. Winter, September through May. And then we have spring. Just kidding. Okay, there we go. There, is this better? I couldn't help it. I just couldn't help it. But wouldn't it be great if you did something like this and say, wow, they're open year round. And then if you pick one, like you pick one in the winter, you would say, okay, here's which one of these is your passion. Because we're not going to promote ice fishing in July, are we? No, I know that. And so then you could do this, and they could click on one of those, and then what you would do is you take them a page that would talk about 3 ice fishing. And I just put in 3, I don't know what you'd catch or anything, just to kind of get it going. But we'd like to do that. We want to make it easy and helpful for people to enjoy coming into this area. And then number 40, work with golf influencers. Golfers are huge on YouTube. Golfers, fishermen, and RVers are 3 of the biggest groups on social media. And so we want to get to them and start really getting them about golf. There's all of these magazines, and they're all looking for places to send their readers. And I put $10,000 in there because we might buy a 1/4-page ad if you'll give us 2 pages of editorial and talk about the golf. I mean, these are just some of them. I mean, there are so many publications. And by the way, all of these are not just print, they're also all online. And we're trying to do this as public relations. We want to promote our top 3 golf courses, or top 6, top 9. But I got to tell you that almost every single golf course in your 4 counties, as a matter of fact, I can't think of one that have done this. You pull up to the golf course, I don't know whether it's open. I don't know whether it's public play or private. I don't know whether it's 9 or 18 holes. I don't know whether you have a restaurant. I don't know if you have a pro shop. I don't know if you do golf cart rentals or club rentals. None of them. They're beautiful, and there's no signage and no information. I had somebody come up to me, I can't remember who it was, in this room that says, I just went out there, I didn't know they're open. I just went out there and played 9 holes. And nobody else was out there. There's nobody to call. And I think that's great for the locals, but I'm not sure that's what the golf course is looking for. And but this is all why this is the getting ready year. And it's a lot of work in your getting ready year. Because once we reach out to these, we got to make it easy. But I have no clue what golf courses are. 100 best golf blogs. You can go online and here's the 100 best. So you start contacting them. This is why you need full-time effort. You need full-time people just doing this kind of stuff. That's public relations. Look at this. I just did, what did I put there? Great golfing destinations. 5 golf resorts you must visit for golf nerds only, best golf trip destinations in America. I mean, there's all these gazillions of these, and you could do the same thing, but there wasn't much on North Dakota. There was actually a few that are in Grand Forks, and those are outstanding golf courses. But establish a youth outreach program for local schools throughout did you know? This is where we start changing the attitude of North Dakotans about North Dakota. Particularly your local residents. You got to start in school. And when you go to an assembly at a grade school full of, I probably do 3rd or 4th graders, and you do it again in 7th grade, and you do it again in high school, and you go there and you actually talk to them about, did you know that we are blah, blah, blah number, 70% of all the sugar we consume in the United States comes from our area. Or did you know that we have this and this and this? I mean, you have so many cool things. And you know what? You know who's in the audience with those kids? Teachers, principals, guidance counselors. We have to educate them to quit telling their kids to leave when they get out of town. I'll never forget when we were in Walhalla in a meeting there, and we had like 3 or 4 kids from high school there. And the one girl said, yeah, she's constantly told to get out of here when she graduates. At school. And we're all sitting there like, oh, really? And so that we have to change the culture. You have to start young. You need to do this like twice as a year. And I would actually have that on-camera person doing a lot of these. But here, watch this.
Do you like the cold? Do you want to live in a state with towns that have names like Devil's Lake, Turtle Lake, and Buttsville? I love Buttsville and I don't know why. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to World According to Briggs. Let's talk about the Peace Garden State in North Dakota. North Dakota's nickname is the Peace Garden State because it's got a peace garden. The International Peace Garden is a park located right on the international border with Canada. The Peace Garden was established on July 14, 1932 as a symbol of the peaceful relationship between the U.S. and Canada. The word Dakota actually translates to friend, and they have a lot of friendly people living in this state. In my experience, people in cold states tend to be friendlier and less self-absorbed. I don't know why, but it's just how it is. North Dakota's biggest negatives are probably the weather, and they don't have many people. And that is what most people find wrong with this state. If you're like me, I don't mind either of those. I don't mind the cold, and I can deal with a few less people around me. Yeah, don't know why. Especially if I was living in Buttsville. After losing population in every census since the 1930s, North Dakota has gained population in the last 3, with the 2020 census showing the biggest gains since 1910. Looks like they gained about 15% this time. There are a lot of reasons someone would want to move to North Dakota. I'm going to tell you about 10 of them right now. Number 10 is a happy state. Like I said, North Dakota has good people and they are happy. North Dakota is considered to be one of the top 10 happiest states to live in the U.S. when it comes to overall well-being, community, and environment. And that's according to different news and real estate websites. They always show up in those. Talk to people from North Dakota and they'll let you know that this is a great state to live in and they love the place. There's a strong family and community vibe going on here. Number 9, it's tax friendly. This is always a big factor in how well people like the state. Taxes are always one of the biggest complaints from the residents. Take a look at New Jersey, California, and New York. That's the first thing people from there will tell you. They hate the taxes. North Dakota is ranked 6th in the U.S. for tax-friendly states. The top income tax bracket maxes out at 2.9%. The effective real estate tax is ranked 28th in the U.S., so the middle of the road on that. Now, this is where we always get the comment, well, they get you other ways. Correct. They all do, but some, like North Dakota, don't get you for that much. Stop typing. Jobs. North Dakota's job growth rate has stayed steady at about 1.6% per year. On average, they've been adding about 6,000 jobs. Now that's prior to, pandemic days, but in reality, the pandemic didn't affect them too much. When you got other states like California's unemployment rate getting to 9% and 10%, sometimes Oregon 6%, Washington 7%, New York State was at 10% at one point, Texas got all the way up to 8%. That's what it was for most states. But when you look at North Dakota, they never cracked 5% during the whole pandemic. I mean, we're not completely out of it, but they did pretty good. Their highest was 4.7% unemployment. Some of the top industries in North Dakota are oil, gas, and mining, agriculture, manufacturing, and construction. Tech companies have started finding their way to North Dakota in the last decade, too, so that's pretty cool. With a shift in remote workers, North Dakota is looking better all the time. Sort of like me after 5 mimosas. It's got a lot of peace and quiet. Like Wyoming, Montana, and South Dakota, this is a great place to be a hermit or have neighbors that, threaten to shave your labradoodle and give him a Charlie horse. Yes, I was that neighbor. The dog's name was Stanley when I lived in Redevelopment Beach. Anytime you walked into our backyard, this old lady right behind us would let Stanley out. I honestly think she thought people enjoyed him barking at you the whole time you were in your own backyard. Yeah, constantly, like nonstop, the whole time. So one day, jokingly, while I was working on someone's backyard, I just kind of whispered over the fence, Stanley, I'm going to jump over this fence and give you a bad haircut and a Charlie horse. She heard it. She called the cops on me. I'm not even kidding. They showed up at my door, wanted to know if I was threatening to beat up a dog. This state is filled with farms, ranches, and not many people. They're actually ranked 47th in population. On top of that, North Dakota is the least visited state. Nobody goes there to visit. No vacations go on here. I'm sure some do, but they usually have something to do with family, I bet, or fishing. They got good fishing there. With less people here, you don't have to worry about crowds or traffic or anyone calling the police on your underground goldfish fighting league. Number 6, decent schools. You'd think this wouldn't be a thing, but it is. I mean, they're out there in the north. Not that many people even visit there or go there. Not that many people there. You'd think things would be lacking, like school funding. No, they do pretty good. They might have funding problems, but they still do good. Statistically speaking, North Dakota is one of the best states to get an education. Their high school graduation rate is ranked 7th in the nation. They're tied with Wisconsin and Wyoming with 93.59% graduate from high school. That's a good number. Texas has one of the lowest with 83.98%, California 85.85%, Kentucky 86.54%, West Virginia 86.83%, so it can get so much worse than almost 94%. Now keep in mind that's the statewide average. I'm sorry you went to Lane School in North Dakota. Doesn't mean all of them are lame, just the one you went to. When I see a good graduation rate, I see solid parenting and talented teachers. That's all it is. That's how you get a high graduation rate, high test scores, parents that actually focus on their kids, and decent teachers. Number 5, economic opportunity. North Dakota has a solid economy because of 2 things that everyone needs: oil and food. Agriculture has always been a big part of North Dakota's economy. So is oil and gas, but nothing like it was in the 2000s. The oil boom that started in the early to mid 2000s was big, did a lot for the state. Infrastructure, rose the GDP, gave people jobs, also did some bad things, abundance of crime, and stuff like that. But these days it's slowed down considerably since its peak around 2013. They still have jobs there and jobs supporting the oil and gas industry, just not like it was at its peak. According to the North Dakota Department of Mineral Resources, the total oil rig count in the state had fallen from 58 active rigs on October 3rd, 2019 to only 11 active rigs on October 3rd, 2020. At its peak, North Dakota had 217 active rigs going at one time, and that was in 2012-2013. North Dakota's economy ranked 3rd in the U.S. for both economic outlook and economic performance. Now, this depends on oil in a big way. If the price of oil goes up, they start pumping more out, so the rigs go live again. It just depends on the price of the oil. So what this means for you, the average Joe, is if you move here, the chances of finding a job now and in the future look really good. Number 4, they got a low crime rate. Yeah, they don't have much crime going on in North Dakota. Most of their crime has to do with bar fights, it seems like. Peace garden state for a reason. There's really not a lot of crime in North Dakota. It's one of the safer states we have. They're actually ranked as the 18th safest state in the U.S. The violent crime rate in North Dakota is less than half the national average. That's pretty good. Property crime rate is lower, but not as much. It's only about 5% lower than the national average. The chances of you being a victim here of any crime is 1 in 356. There's places in Detroit, you have a 1 in 5 chance. North Dakota's number 1 crime is, I bet you never guessed, package theft. Yeah, I guess pork fires are big here. But really, if that's your biggest issue, you don't have many problems. I'm sure the people of Chicago and Detroit would swap crime sprees with you anytime. Just give them a call. 74% of North Dakota residents report feeling safe in their state, compared to 55% of Americans. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Number 3, it's clean. One of the benefits of not having a lot of people is you've got a clean environment. North Dakota ranks 5th in air quality and 3rd in water quality. This is good news for anyone with any sort of lung disease or lung disorder. Water quality is one of those things people are really starting to pay attention to in recent years, probably the last decade. Breakout Google searches these days are things like Hudson River water quality, Missouri River, Mississippi River water quality. I typed in water in my Google search, and the first thing that popped up was Vancouver Lake water quality. That's a little lake not too far from here. For those of you that worry about water and air quality, the Peace and Garden State are calling for you. Number 2, cheap rent. Are you a renter looking for a new state? Are you a fan of otter pops and show tunes? That one has nothing to do with North Dakota or this video. I was just wondering. But if you are a renter, North Dakota is a solid place to live. I'll give you some numbers from 2019. 2020 were about the same, but it was a mess, and so the stats I don't feel are accurate. But I think rental prices have dropped considerably since 2019. How often does that happen? 2019, the average rental cost was $1,330 a month in North Dakota. That's $260 less than the national average of $1,590. Now, I got on rent.com and looked at some of the cities like Fargo and Minot just to see what the rental prices were. They were well below North Dakota's average from 2019. There were decent places in Fargo, 2-bedroom, 1.5-bath apartments. I mean, solid, nice apartments, didn't have street pharmacists working the corner below your window. These are good places. They were going for like $900 a month, which is, well below the $1,330. Get up to Minot, it's a little more expensive. I think that's mainly because it's so far out of the way. But Fargo, Grand Forks, places like that, it was decent, well below their average. But its prices have dropped in North Dakota over the last year, which is good if you're moving there. I mean, who doesn't like cheap rent in a place that doesn't include bars on the windows, right? All right, before we get to number one, don't forget, we got another channel called On This Day. There's a link for it down below. We really appreciate it. You check that one out, trying to grow that one. All right, on to number one. And number one, a great place to raise a family. Like I said earlier, North Dakota is a great place to raise a family, and I think this is its best feature. Put it this way, you like your kids, move them to North Dakota. If you have a lukewarm relationship with your offspring, try New Jersey. Factors on why this is. Average family salary is good, child care costs are low, infant mortality rate is low, and the percentage of families living in poverty is only 10%. Now, 10% sounds bad, not when you compare it to places like Mississippi, which is 19.7%. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Fargo and Bismarck are among America's top 10 best places to raise a family. Yeah, 2 cities in the same state. All right, that's it.
So, those are that's the world according to Briggs. By the way, he has more than 500,000 subscribers. And he does all top 10s. So he does top 10s of all the states and everything. But, I mean, that really paints a good picture of North Dakota. I mean, that's the stuff that your kids have to be educated about. And you've got to do it. You've got to get people. I think your on-camera person, that person that's going to shoot all those videos needs to go school to school. And then teach people, show them videos. It doesn't have to be that video, but could show cool videos of why this is a great place. You've got to start that process. And stop all the we're down on ourselves stuff, that happens here. Number 42. This is where now we start getting into Department of Transportation doing a wayfinding system that's more region-wide. Todd displays there, I want to explain those. Almost every state in the country has Todd displays, including North Dakota, but I don't remember seeing one single Todd tourism-oriented display in these 4 counties. I don't remember. Maybe there's 1 or 2. But not very many. And let me explain what that is. I just took this the other day in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And businesses can get these signs. That's a tourism-oriented display. They pay for them. But wouldn't it be great if we had those kinds of signs pointing us to because the state will do the state parks. They will give you signs. They're the brown signs that you often see. But on these, I mean, there's one, Henning Cheese. Look at this. Tourist activities, Gene Ferris Winery, 5 miles. I mean, this is what you need. And businesses can buy in. I mean, you know what? If you come into Grafton, good luck finding where downtown is. I mean, you have to, if you don't know it, you're not going to find it. And most Siri and Google Maps, Apple Maps, Google Maps, all those, they don't go to downtowns. If you say, take me to downtown Grafton, they will probably take you to City Hall or the post office. In the case, the post office is almost right there. But this is why you need. So Todd signs should be available. We need to educate local businesses, whether you're a restaurant in a town or whether you're I don't know what you have out there, but any of these kinds of businesses can get these signs. And they're not that expensive. And you have to start with your district engineer. And we've worked in many other states where we go right to the tourism. So I would go to Sarah Ott Coleman that runs your tourism division and say, Sarah, can I sit down with you, DOT, your governor or lieutenant governor, and maybe Department of Commerce that she works under, and then say, let's sit down and talk about the importance of Todd signs and just tourism-oriented displays. In many, many states, I took this one in Nova Scotia, they start doing these. These are region signs. So this is Mahone Bay in Nova Scotia, one of my favorite towns there. But they will actually, I think Wyoming's now doing it. I think Montana, some of Montana's doing it. Several states around the country are now allowing these place identifier signs on the highways. The only town in 4 counties that promotes itself out of the town was Hoople. Right? You got all been, if you go past Parker, you'll see the sign. It says Hoople, what is it, the potato? Tater Town. Now, I'm not sure that's going to get me to live there, and I tried to figure out what you have in taters besides growing them. But the point is, Hoople was the only one that had a nice sign that was actually promoting its community. Out of 41. And so, but this is a good way you could do this, and the towns, in this case, the towns help pitch in the cost for that. But then you could also fix things. And this one cracked me up. I love this. This is the first time I've ever seen this anywhere. And it says, Fordville Dam, 1.5 miles. Cool. It's only a mile and a half away. So I drive a mile and a half and it says, oh, Fordville Dam this way, 3 more miles. So I drive that 3 miles and it says, oh, turn here, we got 1 more. And I'm going, well, that's pretty clever. You know, you got me hooked. That's not the way it's supposed to work. It's supposed to work the other way around. But I got such a kick out of that. I thought, I'd never seen that before. That's not the way it's supposed to work. But it was good. It got me hooked and we couldn't give up. I was afraid at the end of this one it would say 29 or something, you know. But anyway, it's a good way to do that. And so we need to help people get around. And you know, all of these... You know, so that first one should have said 5.5 miles and then, 3 and 2 and 1 count down. But the point is, and I would love to see the state over time just call them Fordville Lake, or Fordville Pond or something other than dam, but meanwhile, in your marketing, you say, follow the signs to Fordville Dam and you'll be there at the lake. See what I mean? So you can do it in marketing. And then number 43 on this, apply for federal transportation grants to do this wayfinding system. Don't go to your Department of Transportation. They want to do a whole comprehensive wayfinding system for the region. By the way, even departments of transportation could put regional signs. Welcome to Rendezvous Region, like that Mahone Bay one. We'd love to see those on 2 and on some of the, coming 2981, coming down from Canada on 2 or 3 border crossings. Welcome to the Rendezvous region. And we'd love to see them do it. But don't just say, by the way, would you put in a $500,000 wayfinding system for us? Good luck. But some states would. But you might say, well, hey, right now there's a lot of federal transportation grants out there to help the state do this. We'd love to see them do region signs and then do wayfinding to your waterways and better job to your towns. And then offer Todd signage for businesses that want to get noticed. Like Frostfire, they had to put up their own signs everywhere, saying Frostfire this way, Frostfire that way, because there is no wayfinding to them. As a matter of fact, I used Apple Maps to get me to Frostfire, and it took me up in some agriculture, up on the top of the hill on the other side, on the western side of the Pembina Gorge in the middle of a road and said, you're there. So it wasn't even accurate. And by the way, wayfinding signs will tell us what you have and where it's located. We use navigation systems to say, take me to something I already know exists. So this is going to educate locals and visitors of what you got and where it's located. And so there's all kinds of transportation grants for that. I jump on that bandwagon right now while they're spending trillions of dollars. I don't want to get into politics, but if it's there, take it. And so hire 2 full-time years. This is for the Red River Regional Council. And I probably should have put this way up at the beginning because I said I want Rendezvous Region to hire 3 people full-time to really get this going. Well, if we're asking the regional council to actually do all the project development, we might need to boost these people up a little sooner. But we need 2 people out there working with your golf courses, working with all those waterways, those water authorities on how should we be known, pushing these towns to start implementing things we did in the assessment. So we need a couple of people here just doing that. So now we'd have 5 people working in 5 counties. This would be one hell of a team that the rest of the state should emulate. You have 7 other regions. I think this one could set the standard for North Dakota and even other areas of the country. And those people, they should be very, very steeped in urban planning, in landscape architecture, those kinds of things. So that's what they're involved in. Zoning, all those type of things. So then next one, number 45, perform due diligence to define your top eateries, retail shops, attractions. You know what? The best thing you could ever do is promote the very best of the Rendezvous region. The very best. It might be your top 3 historical attractions on the whole region, your top 3 biking destinations. And that would be, we would add that to the list. And we would also I want to do a birding one here. And one that you've already done that I think is really cool is this geocaching one. You've already got this one done. And it's a cool thing. So we're going to end up with a lot of these. But what's cool about these, having these series of brochures, is that people could pick the one that fits them, and it's all about the things they want to do. And that's what's cool about these. And they're all would be downloadable on the website. They could even be on an app, all of those things. But the very best of the Rendezvous region, always promote your best ofs. And so it's funny because our creative director, Greg, did this one, and I did this one. And we both had the same kind of look. I went, Greg, I think I've been hanging around with you too much. But once again, the very best of. And in that, I could go through the whole thing, but I'll show you one. I want to give you one example. About 5,000, because this is a co-op like the rest. The one I'm showing you here, this is Alpena, Michigan. Alpena, Michigan is in the eastern side of Michigan, across from what's over there? Shoot, now I can't think of it. Across the state. But anyway, they call it the Eastern Shore of Michigan. And Alpena's there, population about 10,000. And it used to be like a cement plant town where they made cement, all the lime and everything. And they're looking for their second act. What do we want to be known for now? But I said, one of the things you need to promote your very best ofs. And so that's what they did. So the best of, that gets people's attention. Because remember, if you don't share your best ofs, we're going to go find it on TripAdvisor, Google, somewhere else. And because we want help. So the very best Alpena. And then that's the cover. And then yellow always pulls the eye. And then, let me keep going here. And then the inside cover. Look, they said, Roger, we can't get past the politics. So they had to use a quote from me. It's like, come on, you guys. I actually helped them pick out the best ofs. And what we did is we created this brochure. So there you go. We'll go into this. And will these start showing up on their own? No, there we go. So we did this brochure right here. And you're going to see it. There it is. These are, and I'll tell you the criteria here in a minute. But each one of these people paid $400. They were invited. We didn't say who wants to buy an ad. They were invited. Because if you have one bad apple in here, it brings down the whole bunch. If you say this is the best ofs and one of them is bad, they're going to think the entire region's bad. And so that's what you have to do. Myers Fashions. I mean, these are all people in there that are there. And you notice there's no chains. Art in the Loft. The Besser Museum was really hurting. They couldn't afford $400. There was enough from everybody else to cover the cost for them. I think they paid $100. Because we thought it was important that they be included. I mean, all of these people, and they all had high ratings. And I'm going to show you how they got past the politics. But one thing they did with this is really cool. So with this criteria, number one was they had to be highly regarded by somebody other than themselves. Like 80% plus positive reviews on Google, on TripAdvisor, on Yelp. There's always going to be somebody that complains, but like 80% is what we use. There it is. Or they're written up in Midwest Living Magazine or whatever. And then they had to have good curb appeal. Had to look inviting so that we wouldn't be going, I'm not sure if I want to go in there. And you have lots of those. And then they had to be open year round. In their case, they had to be open at least till 7. In your case, I'd like them to be open at least 5 days a week. But it could be 6 o'clock, whatever. So we have somebody in there. They had to be open 6 days a week. So this is what we did. And so we're not putting Subway. We're not putting McDonald's. We're not putting chains in here. We're putting things that are unique to you. We need to help your businesses. So that was Alpena. Now, what they did with this, in their county, they have 30,000 residents. That is about 10,000 households. And I'm going to get to what they did. So they printed 20,000. 10,000 are going to be mailed to every resident, and the other 10,000 are handed out in brochures, handed out around the counties. I just want to show you, this is the one they did in Wausau, Wisconsin. Welcome, they did the welcome page. There they are, and so this very cool, it's horizontal, but this is what they did. And so they did a nice job. And so you could have whatever look and feel, but you always promote your anchor tenants. Your very best ofs, whether they're state parks, whether they're your top museums. Because remember, you can always say, if you like these, we've got the next list for you and the next list. Success breeds success. So it's really important to promote your anchor tenants. So I just go through these little pages here. You can see what they did. And they just did an awesome job. And then they even did a panel for their festival event, and they did a panel that showed a map of their downtown. Now, granted, that's for a town. We're talking about a region, but we could have a region map that just shows where the towns are located that are featured in there. I mean, this is Bracebridge, Ontario. Cities everywhere are doing this. Promote your anchor tenants. Success breeds success. You've got to do that. Because even when we went into Grand Forks, which does a great job, is what we did. We went to TripAdvisor to find places to eat. And you could actually take Google and TripAdvisor reviews and put them on your website with a simple widget. And they encourage you to do that. I just did a webinar on that yesterday. This next one, I'm going to kind of skip over. But you want to know how to do this? Go to Kiwanis, go to Rotary, go to a school board meeting, go to any meeting where you have a group of people like this. If we had time, I could have done it here today. I would hand out a piece of paper with 7 squares, and then I would ask these questions. And you would just say it for wherever you live. It doesn't have to be, where will me and my partner have the best dining experience? And you would put down whatever it is. And if we had time, I would do this. Where should we go for some nightlife? Where do we get gourmet items for a picnic? What is the one thing we must do while we're here? And you could do this. And what's happening is, and we've done this at Kiwanis and Rotary and all different kinds of meetings, Lions Club, Elks, Eagles, you name it. And we will do this, and we'll gather up all the responses. You end up with your best ofs without them knowing it. Because they'll all say the same place to get those gourmet items. And by the way, with this list right here, we'd say put them in order, and then tell me if we're coming for the weekend. And so I said, okay, here's what we do. And so this is something you could take back and do at home. You could go, so now, if I'm coming to visit you this weekend, you say, rats, Roger, you're going to be out of town. I say, well, can you at least help me with here? And then what you do is you put these in orders. They'll say, well, you know what? When you first arrive on Friday night, go here for some nightlife. It's really good. And then the next morning when you get up to sunrise at such, see what I mean? What you're doing is you're having locals develop itineraries for you. How cool is that? And it might be just in your area. I mean, that is a really cool thing. And by the way, 5 of these 7 are about spending money. Like, dining experience, nightlife, gourmet items for a picnic, where can get the best dessert, where is something locally made. 5 of 7 are places to spend money. You could create itineraries and you end up with your best ofs out of that. And you'll see them. I mean, Azteca Mexican Grill. It was rated number 1, so we went there last night. And so I don't want to pick on anybody, but I think Grafton needs some more nice restaurants. Frosty Fox is awesome. But it's a great takeout place, I thought, and I mean, the people there were nice. But once again, you can also get them from TripAdvisor, your best ofs. We actually have a whole video on how to do this. So there's another brochure. Then number 47, distribute it throughout the region on all those distribution that we're going to do. Each shop, eatery, attraction featured in the very best, all of them would sell the brochure. But with this comes to the next one, 48. Mail this to every household in the region with a card. And this is the card with this. Now, first of all, there are people in Alpena that says, you picked them and you didn't. A Chamber of Commerce could never do this. Because, I pay my dues, you pick them over me. But with that criteria, you're just going by what Google says, you're going by what TripAdvisor says. I mean, you're cutting through the politics, and you would do this every year. We want them to get their reviews up so we can promote you. And we want you to get your hours or days operating better. But with this, there were people that said, well, I think I'm just as good as them, and I'm right next door. And you know what they said afterwards? That was the best $400 I never spent, because when they went into my neighbor's shop, they also came into mine. I go to conferences all the time and they say, how many of you would go, let me ask you this. How many of you would go to Orlando? No, yeah, Orlando, if Disney World was not there, how many of you would do it? Raise your hands. 1, 2, okay? What if it's January? Yeah, now more hands are going to go up. But you know what? Orlando doesn't mind if Disney gets all the heavy lifting, because when you go there, you're also going to go to Universal Studios, you're going to go to SeaWorld, you're going to go to a whole bunch of other attractions. Always promote your anchor tenants. Then mail this out with a card. And here's what the card would say. So it would fit in a number 10 envelope. So don't do a square one like this. Here's what it would say. The number one reason people travel is to visit friends and family. We hope that you'll hang on to this brochure, which features some of the very best of the Rendezvous region has to offer, so that you can share it and these great places when you host friends or family. Because we believe that every dining room table should be a concierge desk. Within days, let me throw it on the ground. Within days, people were coming downtown. They would open up the brochure and they'd walk into a shop and say, my gosh, I got this in the mail. How long have you been here? And the shopper would go, 10 years. You're educating your locals about what you got and where it's at. Your best ofs. I mean, every one of these towns that has a little bar or a saloon or whatever, maybe some of them really specialize in ribs or brisket or something, a dessert. Maybe they specialize in something that would make this list. We need to do that. So we actually figured out how many households you have. There you go. Now, Grand Forks County, I did 5,000. There's actually 30,779. So I said, well, if we didn't mail one to every household in Grand Forks, we could mail them outside of Grand Forks. So we would print up like 25,000 of these. Can you imagine if every single household got one of these snail mail with that card? It says, we hope you'll go explore. Wouldn't it be great if the people in your counties actually spent more time exploring your 4 counties? I'll bet you I've been to more places in your 4 or 5 counties, I should say 5 counties, than a lot of you. And so that has to change. So number 49, we're getting there. Contract for weekly distribution of printed materials. So now we're starting to create all these brochures, plus the birding one, geocaching one. We need to get them out there. I got to tell you that we were here for a month. We were in dozens of restaurants. We were in 41 towns. If a chamber of commerce, most of the chambers were closed. This is during COVID last year. So, and you know what? The first time we ever got this geocaching was today. So if you can't get these out there, they're not doing you any good. You have to get them out there. And that's really, really important. So what we suggest is that you contract with somebody for like $1,000 a month. It could be somebody who's retired that just says, yeah, I don't mind picking up $1,000 a month, and once a week during the summer months and once every 3 weeks during the winter months, whatever it is. Or you can do 500 months times 2 people, and somebody does these 2 or 3 counties, somebody does these 2 or 3 counties. And then you could do this and then gradually get these out there. But it's really important if we have those brochure holders that you see in retail shops and those brochure racks or kiosks like you saw, we got to get those populated. We've got to get them there. And you would create a couple of routes, and we do these routes a couple of times. And then, maybe November through March is every 2 weeks, April through October, maybe every week you're out there making sure people got that. We get these in the hands of people so they'll spend money. That's the whole benefit of tourism, getting people to spend money. And so, number 50, work with the cities on redeveloping their websites. Most of your cities, the websites were horrendous at best. Probably 10 cities didn't even have a website. And granted, some of these towns have like 20 people living in them, and I understand that. But A lot of these websites, it looked like right out of 1985. Seriously. I mean, and if you want young people to go there, they're going to look at that and go, oh my gosh, we're dealing with the good old boys network. These people don't even know what the word technology is. I mean, this is what they're going to think. And so we need to start working on that. Now, you want a good example? Yeah, of course. Those darn people in Cavalier. But you know what? It's photo heavy. It's got camping, lodging. Look at all that government. You want different things. A little hard to read there up there at the top. But look at that. They actually promote the place. Every city website should sell first, not just be we're government, so we have to look like here. You want police, garbage. You want, minutes from our last meeting. Four Seasons for many reasons. A little bit generic. We'll work on that with them. But that is. They do a good job, and they do it right on their website. They're selling why you should be in Cavalier. And other people should start to take notes. This is in that Waupun. There's that video that I showed you with Craig Molitor. But you go there and it says pay for community news. I just wanted to walk you through there. But I think what's really important on every city website says, are you a resident? Are you a visitor? Are you a business? And then you say, here's resources if you want to open a business. Here's resources if you want to live here. See what it says? Government, services, residents, business, visitors. And then you go there and they're a resource. It's helpful. It's not just government. And so I thought, Waupun, you did a fantastic job. Look at this. Is the city's website. It looks like a tourism website. Yeah. Grand Forks' best website is Julie's website. It is. It sells quality life. And the city has a good modern website. But hers really outsells them. But look at that. Welcome to Waupun. And it tells you all about it. I mean, that's what you need to do. 51. Work with local businesses on Google. Even last night, we were sitting there, where should we eat tonight? This is last night after we got done meeting with the museums. And we see all these places. And so I said, well, you know what? Let's find a place we haven't eaten at in Grafton. So the first place we saw that was really good, highly rated, and it was open yesterday, was the Italian place. It's closed. It looks like it's permanently closed and they're obviously remodeling it, but it said it was open. Because they've never claimed their Google listing. I would say that 90% of the businesses, and I don't think I'm exaggerating, in these 5 counties do not even claim their Google listing, which is free. And so we didn't know what was open, what was closed. Even some of you that yesterday in the historical sites and museums, one person walked up to me and says, I just did our Google listing. It says we're permanently closed. We've never been permanently closed. Another person walked up and says, mine says it's temporarily closed. We haven't been temporarily closed. I said, because you never claimed your listing. So users go there and they just assume it, and that's what they put, and that's what Google's going to put, because you're not correcting them. So those people that are working, those 2 people we said to hire, they need to go business to business or town to town, sit down with people with a laptop and show them how to claim their Google listing. Because it'll say right on here, let's see, where is it? Let's see if I can find it right here. This is Frosty Fox right there. But you know what? You can go down here. I mean, otherwise you're going to TripAdvisor. But down here it says, let's see, suggest and edit, own this business. Right there, nobody's claimed it. Nobody's claimed it. I mean, claim your business, then you can put, it says closed yesterday, or when I took this picture, it says opens 11 a.m. Wednesday. And I guess I must have taken that like on Tuesday. But anyway, they're not even doing that. I mean, you want people to spend money here. And here are like Country Smokehouse, they're not even listed. Azteca Mexican Grill was number 1. It was just ridiculous that they're not listed. And then create the paddling guide. So this is our next one. This one you see there's a little more budget there because, I don't know how much budget waterways have, and you're not promoting businesses or anything. So that one we might have to subsidize more than people buying. just a page, paying for a page in theirs. So that would be another one, paddling guide. So this would be so cool to be able to do this. And then, by the way, you can go to paddling. There's a gazillion paddling magazines. There's a gazillion golf magazines. And if you start promoting these, they're going to be taking notice of you and writing about you. So then you begin distributing that. And then once again, you might start, these are single brochure holders, so that maybe a certain shop say, I only have room for one brochure, and I'm at the waterway, and so therefore I'm going to do this. Now, most waterways, we need a weather, like a real estate one. You ever seen those real estate ones? They're like 8.5 by 11. They have a flap over them. It'd be good to have those at some of those places. And then that gets us into our third year. By the way, we don't believe in doing plans for more than 3 years. You know why? After about 1.5 years, it starts sitting on a shelf. This is a plan that sits on your desk. And by the time you get to year 2.5, you're going to be going, what did we not get done that we need to move over? And what do we need to change from that first one? And what should we add for it for our next 3 years? And so this is where we really get into it. Now, early in my career, I was a recruiter. I started my career working in Whistler Resort in British Columbia. Paul Revere and the Raiders. Anybody know Paul Revere and the Raiders? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead. Okay, you just dated yourself. Yeah. And I called him Uncle Paul, and he said, Roger, I worked in the concert industry. He said, you're never going to change the world working in the concert industry. I know these guys in Canada are doing a destination resort. So I helped develop Whistler Resort, which hosted the 2010 Winter Olympics. But since then, for those first 10 years before we started doing this kind of work, I did recruitment, and I recruited about $3.2 billion worth of investment into resorts and rural communities. I used 2 pieces of literature. This is the first one, is a community profile. One of the towns we worked in was Ocean Shores, Washington, which us in the Seattle area called Open Source. How do you like that for a brand? Because it was really in trouble. And then every year we would create a new one for Ocean Shores. And every year we would update it, but it's a community profile. So let me show you what's in it. This is 8.5 by 11, but it's a trifold. And in it, we think you should do one of these for each county. So you could talk about Pembina County, the population, distance from major areas, special events, where you're located in your map of North Dakota. Then we went into things like the weather, new construction starts, sales tax receipts, building, permits, property tax levies. We even did retail sales where we used real snapshot information. And then community services, schools, library. We used all of these things. And so we would do this on the county. You can't do it for a region. It's just too much and too big. But you could do one for each of these 5 counties. And here it is, average precipitation. And by the way, Ocean Shores, Washington gets about 80 inches a year. You think you have it bad. Rainfall by month, average precipitation by quarter, all the local clubs. I mean, they go through this whole thing, and every year they update it. And what you do with this is you also partner with another one that's an opportunities guide. This could be region-wide. What are businesses? You know what I'm shocked? I haven't found any outfitters outside of Grand Forks. None. With all this fishing and hunting and everything you have out here, the recreation, I haven't found any outfitters anywhere. If they're here, I haven't found them. I couldn't find them. You have some holes. Grafton particularly has lots of holes it could fill. So we always believe in promote your opportunities. People are saying, I want to live there because I love the quality of life. And then what you do is you promote your top 10 small business opportunities. And maybe one of those is to do a ropes course, a challenge course at Frostfire. I mean, who knows? But you need to just say, we have jobs. So who doesn't? We need workforce recruitment. Yeah, who doesn't? But tell me there's some business opportunity. This one we did for St. Mary's, Idaho. And in there, they wanted location, geography, we talked about those, taxes, supporting and assistance, utilities, where to go from here, how they could get other information. And there it is, right there. They needed a hotel there. They wanted a destination resort, condominiums there, RV park, visitor retail, a restaurant. And they actually had sites located where they did that. And you know what? By doing these, I've recruited $3 billion using 2 pieces of literature. That's it. They don't want you to send them a 300-page report, and you never go get development through RFPs. Ever. We always went and said, here's who we want, let's go get them. And I would go to them. I'd physically visit with them and say, what would it take to get you to come to Walhalla or wherever we're at, Grafton, wherever? And that's what we did. That's how we recruited. You don't need more than this. And you do these 10, and once you've recruited these 10, then you go get 10 more. What are the next 10 that people want? And you go to your communities and ask them, what is their need? And we make sure, is that feasible? If Frostfire did the Zorb and maybe an adventure course, a team building course, I guarantee you're going to need some lodging. Because what's in Walhalla, from what I read in reviews, is probably not going to really attract many people. And we want overnight visitors. Now, that doesn't mean the hotel has to be in the middle of Walhalla. Maybe it's up there. Who knows? But it might be an opportunity that somebody wants. And overnight visitors spend 3 times more than day visitors. 56. Here you go. I picked these communities because I thought they had the best chance of doing what I'm going to recommend next. I mean, Minto might be a good place for this, what you're going to see next. But one of the big deals in downtowns, and it doesn't have to be big downtowns, people downtown on a consistent basis. If you can get, it doesn't matter whether you're a town of 500, 1,000, or 50,000. I mean, I even said this about Grand Forks. They have a beautiful plaza. That should be active 250 days a year, rather than just what farmers markets or whatever. If you create activity in your downtown, what every community needs, if you want millennials, is that you need a community living room. Think about it when you invite people to your town. I mean, to your house. You might say, let's watch a movie, and you fix popcorn. Well, you could do movies there. Or what if they come over to your house and you're playing chess or you're any kind of activity you would do at home? Why couldn't you do it downtown? Create a community living room. And you need to change it up every 2 weeks. I'm going to show you how to do this. And you could have 13 different sets. And I'm going to show you what would be in a set here in a minute. So we have a plaza. It could be half the size of this room. And just like this room, a plaza is just plain. It's just paver squares or stamped concrete. It's not a park. It's just a place like this that you could program. This space in a few hours is going to be home to a graduation. It's going to probably look a whole lot different than it looks right now. It could be home to a wedding. It could be home to anything. Same with the plaza. You change it up. So people are going, I wonder what's going on downtown tonight. It doesn't get boring. It doesn't get stale. And consider weather and seasons. It might be different in the winter. You have mix and match activities. Add security cameras. So what you need is a space. And it should be in the middle of your spending district. The middle of your spending district. And then, so let me give you some ideas. You know, you could go out and buy these, look at that, 4 chairs and a table for $162. So, why don't you go get 50 tables and 200 chairs, would be $8,000. And you could do tailgate parties. You could do movies on the square. You could do food festivals. People could just grab food from restaurants and go eat on your square. If you want millennials and young families, you need to create a central gathering spot for them. They're not the bar scene. They want a place where we can all hang out and have a good time as a community. I mean, if you want to add umbrellas to that, there they are, $39 a piece at overstock.com. I mean, can you imagine having this in your downtown, no matter how big it is? Park River has a great downtown. I think Cavalier has a great downtown. Those are be easy. Even Park River actually has a couple of spaces that already have some things in them that would be perfect for these. You could put around the perimeter these things. You could do it with a forklift. Somebody just to keep cars and stuff off of that and put landscaping or trees in them. You know, and that gives you this great safe space, so to speak. I mean, I used to teach for Disney Institute. And if you ever go to downtown Disney, what you're going to see is things like that. Now, notice that planter there? You know why that planter is shaped like that? For one good reason. It's about people. Your downtowns need to be about people, not cars. We want out of our cars. We're moving to the European standard. We want cars out of our downtowns. We want places we can hang out. And if you want young families, you got to get into the 21st century. But that's why they do that. It's about people first. We created a whole series of videos. So for Cavalier and Park River and Grafton has an armory. That should be a public market, a year-round public market. And then outside, take one of those 2 parking lots on one side and make it an open plaza during the summer. If you had people pouring into downtown Grafton, guess what? You'd have no retail vacancies, and the retailers you have would be doing 10 times the business. When we host a farmer's market downtown 13 weekends a year, that's not enough to sustain any business. 250 days is what it takes to sustain business. And we're not talking events, we're just talking about activities. You know, has anybody here been to Rapid City? Raise your hands. Have you seen Main Street Square? We did that in 2012. Main Street Square, 6 months of the year, has a splash pad. It's about 1,500 square feet. The kids go play in it. And another 4 months of the year, they have an ice rink, 8,000 square feet. It's a portable one. They put it out. They have a Zamboni in the parking garage next door. They make $150,000 a year just renting ice skates, and they have to dole them out because it gets too busy. That's 240 to 250 days right there. They have 5 people that run Main Street Square. But you know what happened? The city gives them $50,000 a year. So now remember, that's like 80,000 people. So just scale it down. So if you have 8,000 people, it might be $5,000 a year. And so the city does that, but it makes its own money. It makes money from renting ice skates. It has a beer garden when car clubs come. They have sponsorships for certain weekends and events. They raise their own money. And it's a local downtown. That destination team, I said way back in the beginning of this thing today, they're the ones who would probably run it. And so to make, in Rapid City, within 24 months of when Main Street Square opened, the average age of a person buying a home, which is something they could track, dropped 12 years. Just by opening up a 1-acre square. It changed everything. They went from 30% vacancy to 0. The Alex Hotel, if you've seen down there, they have the Alex Hotel. It was only the bottom 4 floors were open, and the upstairs there was raccoons living in them. I mean, it changed everything. The Alex Hotel now runs at 90% at occupancy, 90% occupancy, and they get like $300 and $400 a night, and they're full. I mean, that's the power of this, just on a smaller scale even. So here's what you can do. Can you imagine if you had a space that half the size of this room even, and you put in these little 4 score, it's like tic-tac-toe. You can put in the Jenga blocks. Look at this. You could buy 6 of those, and then at $200 a day, 6 giant Jengas for $1,250. And you say, would a local bank do this? Would a local ag company do this? Would a local law firm sponsor these? You could do little sandwich boards, so it doesn't even have to cost you money. You have local people sponsor some of these. You could go out and do these mega chess sets. You ever seen those? These are the coolest thing ever. I've seen people playing these in the middle of the winter in New York City. Just go to New York City and go to Bryant Park if you want to see all this stuff in action. And then, here's another one. These are even weatherproof foosball and ping pong tables. I mean, there's all different kinds of stuff you can do. I mean, look at this, the hula hoops. Isn't that cool? I still can't do that. I've tried. But how cool would that be? Just to have these activities. It's a gathering place. These sponge chairs are crazy. People love those things. But you could do these. These are musical instruments. So this gives you all kinds of prices. I could go on and on and on because of time. I'm already out of time. And so right here, plaza, you can even do these little booths and say, do we have local people that make fishing ties or flies? Do we have people that make jewelry? Can our town be a business incubator? We'll give them, we'll let them use one of these to sell their wares, to start getting some jobs going, help them do some of these. We've even seen space turn into portable skate. But what you do is there's, cornhole tosses. I mean, all of these things you could do. In the winter, you might put out fire pits. You know, this is badminton. I mean, we say in the middle of Indianapolis airport, in the airport, they have ping pong tables. And every once in a while, somebody gets bonged with a ping pong. They haven't had any lawsuits yet. Thank goodness it's not golf. But even we've seen towns that do this with fitness equipment right in the middle of their downtown. So these are all the things that you could do that would be just amazing in your downtown. I love this, imagine ground. So you put that out during spring break and for 2 weeks during the summer. But you always move them in and out. And you know what? You could go out and buy all of this stuff. All of it. Let me just go. This is every single thing I showed you here, which would be more than you would ever need. That total cost is $76,000 for everything. You need a place to store it, and you need volunteers to go change it out, set it up every night. I mean, you could have sponsors for whatever you have there. But when you do this, it'll change everything in your town. Young people, young families, even other families, they want to come where there's things to do. And this is Cannon Beach, Oregon, population about 2,500. They paid him right there about $50, $25 to go out there on Friday and $25 to go out there on Saturday for 4 hours each day. And then he makes most on tips just to create life. So these are buskers or street musicians or anything you could do to add some cultural depth, because that's one of the things that millennials want, are cultural depth. And so if you have a square, you have a plaza, you can invite them in. It might be high school kids. And by the way, did you notice none of them are amplified music? And so these are things you could do. Start with Fridays and Saturdays. I guarantee you, if we come into Cavalier or any place and we start seeing this happening, we're on our way. I mean, that is how important this is. You know, there you go. Chessboards. I mean, we could keep just going on and on and on. But because I'm out of town already and they got to get ready for an event, I'm just going to go through these last 10 fairly quickly. But pretty cool. We'd love to see 2 or 3 towns do this. It would change everything. You'd be I don't know anybody in North Dakota that does this. I didn't see it in Bismarck. I've been to Minot. I've been to, almost just about every town in the state, and I haven't seen anybody do this kind of thing. And how cool is that? I mean, we could just keep going on and on. You could even bring in things like these portable climb walls. This might be out at Frostfire, and then they bring it in for the summer or a different area, a different time of year, and this is all comes apart. It's all made out of scaffoldings. They even make portable climbing walls like that. That's that one. That's who make those. And there's different ones. This is in downtown Indianapolis. These are all portable, what are they? Bocce ball courts. So there's just so many things you could do. And I know I'm going through this pretty quickly, but this is about having a great time. That's Bryant Park in New York City. They've never had vandalism problems in New York City. Can you imagine having a square and doing yoga classes on it? Once a week with a yoga instructor, or Zumba, or Tai Chi. You could do this. Power public plazas, how to bring downtown to life, and how to do it cheap. 57. I only got 10 more. Be aggressive, run region SEO. Search engine optimization is going to be huge in this. And particularly for RVing, digital nomads, work from anywhere, we got to get them here. Family reunions, event locations for clubs, whether it's car clubs, motorcycle clubs, paddling clubs, you name it. Wouldn't it be great? We need to start really putting you on the map, because when people use the internet, they don't use cities and towns or counties. Have you ever gone anywhere because it was a county? We don't. We go paddling. Where's the best paddling? Near Grand Forks, North Dakota. That's how we use the internet. We always put the place last. We put the activity first. So we need to do search engine optimization. So by activity, when they say we're looking for the best fishing spots in eastern North Dakota, you show up. Because when you type in, oh, I just typed in Grafton and we were number 1. Well, you're the only one doing it. Everybody else is looking for something to do there, and it happens to be in Grafton. And there we go, 58. Distribute your community profile, those opportunities. Here's one thing that people don't realize is so important to this. Real estate offices. You have to understand your realtors, your real estate agents, the number one question that will be asked is, where's a good place for my kids and family? What are the best schools? They need to be educated. When we do those community profiles, we give most of them to your local real estate offices. And you don't have very many real estate offices because you don't have much real estate and you're a dropping population. We need to change that side, but we need to treat your real estate agents like gold. CCIM or commercial, certified commercial investment members. Economic development, this is where they need to go. But you got to include your real estate agents and your offices. I mean, they're the ones that will tell people where the good schools are, where the good towns are, because they don't know. And so this is North Dakota Association of Realtors. You know what? I think this region needs to go talk to them. When they do statewide conventions, say, we in the Rendezvous region like to come and talk to you about the Rendezvous region, what we're doing to change it, to increase the population. Great target to go after. You got to go do it. Look at that. It's coming up this September. I have this 2 years down the road when we get a little more work done, but it's powerful. This is your real estate agencies that were listed on the website in the whole 5-county region. Not very many. And we need to change that. Number 59. Create the 6th rack brochure, the fishing and hunting guide. And this one we weren't too sure. What I did is I just did it for fishing because I'm not sure about your hunting. I'm not sure if it's bird hunting, pheasant hunting. I don't know where it is, but maybe there's one separate for hunting. I don't know. Most of your lands are private, so I'm not sure where hunting is. But I know that fishing is good, and so you should promote that for your local lakes and streams. I think the catfish, the catfish fishing, up in Drayton, I thought that was a cool brand they did. And so that's a question that we still have of you. And what type of hunting is there here? We're not too sure. We couldn't really find much information about it. Number 60, we're counting down. Contract the next plan. And it might be $40,000. It's not going to be as expensive as this one because we already laid all the groundwork. You just need to know what's our next list that we're going to start developing in year 2.5. And so that's what that is. You review each recommendation in this plan. Which ones were implemented? Which ones do we want to continue with? Which ones do we want to carry over to the next one? And you just go through this whole list. And by the way, one thing that's really, really important about this is that this is not a plan where you do some of them, say we're going to do this one. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. If you do some of them, toss out the other ones, you have a worthless jigsaw puzzle. They all integrate. This is then search for funding. Now we need more funding. If we can get a 3-year and they can do what we did that's different, then it's going to be easy to get them back. For the 2nd year is brand building, awareness, initial marketing. 3rd year is full out marketing, public relations, social media. And then number 62, reach out to fishing and hunting clubs because we hadn't really done that yet. So we need to start reaching out to them because fishing, man, they're on YouTube like nobody else. I need to in-depth outdoors on location, North Dakota walleye, midsummer walleye. I started looking at all these different ones. They had like tens of thousands of views. They're all over the place. But this outside of Devil's Lake, I didn't see any lake. Storm Lake was mentioned a couple of times, but none of your other ones. And maybe rightfully so. Maybe we just make them paddling and not about fishing. But I'll tell you, there's enough fishing channels out there that you could really make a dent. And there's a lot of cable shows about fishing that you could tap into. Begin a full-fledged PR. We already been doing PR during this time, but now we're going to reach out to publications and websites. And this is really big. This is where you contract with somebody for the whole year, unless one of your staff people is a PR expert. And in that case, this is where you go for it. We've got 2.5 years. We got things ready. Our towns are looking better. And you start with a website press room. Press rooms are incredibly important. I think Asheville has one of the best in the country. I'll have to look at Julie's press room. You probably have one do you have one on your website? Probably, yeah. And so this is one, you can just look at them. But on your press, these are like quick facts. So these are things you'll all have on your website. I won't go into too much detail because we're out of time, but I just wanted to give you an idea of the pieces that would be on there on your website as a platform. You would collect publications. Visit the masthead for contact information on fishing, hunting, stand-up paddleboarding, request a media kit, request an editorial calendar, and maybe sometime they're talking about the Midwest or even the Dakotas, and you say, wow, if you're going to write about the Dakotas next August, we want to be on that list. And you could submit photography because you'll have it. You'll have top lists already on YouTube. You'll be ready. I mean, look at just RVing. There's all of these. And these ones, they're itching to send people to you. We just have to get ready. These are easy to get. Fishing's easy to get for free. Paddling, and then we have to do stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, canoeing. Look at all these numbers, RVs. You can just glance at these. I'm going to go through them really quickly. But look at the numbers of RVs. It's incredible. Strong for 10 years. It's not just because of COVID. It's just really, look at that, 600,000 this year they're expecting to sell. Those are new units. It's incredible. Look, even Travel and Leisure magazine is getting into RVing. I never thought I'd see the day for that. They're usually promoting Europe. Just everywhere. It's just growing. When it comes to consumers, 40 million, a million are full-time RV, and there's another million that are retired in RVs. And then, 3 to 4 weeks a year, so it's not 16,000 campgrounds. We could just go on and on and on. Look at that. 50% are first-timers, 55 are millennials. Look at that, 55% are millennials. Look at that, 15 million millennials are RVers. So I just wanted to show you the numbers that this is not a flash in the pan. And with a really light on hotels, it's a great market to go after because we're not camping in the urban areas. And then invite clubs and organizations. We work in the town of Solvang, California. And this big car show was going on. All these classic cars were everywhere. There was people everywhere. And in front of one of the cars was this little thing. It says, First Annual Solvang Wheels and Windmills Car Show. I found the director of the car show and said, why did you pick Solvang? He says, I thought you'd say, because it's a cute Danish tourist town. You know what he said? Because their Chamber of Commerce sent out letters and invited us. That's all. I said, what? Yeah. I said, well, did they say they'd pay you money? He goes, no. I said, well, what did they say they'd give you? He said, they didn't say they'd give us anything. They said they would put up welcome signs and they would close off 3 blocks of Main Street for us. I said, that's it? He said, yeah. And he said, so I said, well, how many people did you bring here? And he goes, we have about 10,000. I said, when did you start? Well, we got here on Thursday and it ran all day Friday. It's going on Saturday and we're going to be done Sunday afternoon. And I said, what about all these vendors and stuff, the porta potties? He said, we did all of that. And I said, so will you be doing it here? And he says, oh yeah, we've already booked the next 10 years. If you invite them, they're going to come here. You've got parks. You've got downtowns. You don't have crowds of people. It's easy driving to get here and into your towns. You know how much they spent for that? They have 45 weekends of activities that they don't even have to produce. They spent $200. These are the things we want you to start doing, down the road. And that's why I'm saying that these are there. And you want to get a database, you can just go to guidestar.com. It's free. They'll give you all the quilt clubs. They'll give you, and by the way, you do quilt clubs, you're going to have women coming from everywhere for the quilt clubs, and the men are going to go, where can I go fishing while you're quilting? Really, it's serious business. So there's all of these opportunities for you. So, without going into more detail, and these clubs, they're looking for places to send their readers. That's BMW magazine. It goes all over the world. Roundel is the American BMW magazine. And then up in Seattle area is this, Zoonfolge, which is the local. And every time they're saying, here's reasons to visit your Canadian club neighbors in August. It's a car club promoting people to go up to Canada from the Seattle area. Cannon Beach driving event recap. That was people in the Seattle area going down to Cannon Beach, Oregon. Here's another one. Mountain Twisties Drive recap. They went up in the Cascade Mountains. I mean, it was all free. All they need to do is invite them. I mean, you know, and Mercedes does it. Mustang does it. I mean, Leavenworth Weekend, that's a Bavarian town in eastern Washington. And they're sending people there. These are things you could do for free. It just takes those people. So, classic cars, motorcycle clubs, quilters, fishing shows, derbies, dragon boat racing. I mean, you name it. 64, attraction cities, Harvest Host. This is the last one of these I'll do. Harvest Host is where you allow RVers to stay for free for one night. They have to be self-contained. And it's free for you to be on it. And people will stay in your museum parking lot, and they have to call you first. And they're encouraged to always buy something or always spend time in the museum or wherever they're staying. It could be farms. It could be museums. It could be golf courses. It's free. We pay $100 a year to belong to Harvest Host. And we can stay anywhere. And we always buy stuff there because it was nice of them to let us stay. No hookups or anything because you're all self-contained. No tents. I mean, and then there's your new one called Boondockers Welcome. And look at this. They're all over the place, but there's hardly any in North Dakota. There's a few over in the western side. Boondockers Welcome, Harvest Host. It's free to get in. A great way to get people into your museums, into your downtowns. Would love to see you do that. 65. Create video content, how to find local jobs. I got to tell you that I said, okay, I'm going to move to North Dakota. Say I'm going to move here. I'm going to move to this area. I went onto the state's website, Dakota Job Service. I went down, I typed in Pembina. And when I got to the Pembina jobs, they were all over. They were Grand Forks, they were Fargo, they were Bismarck, they were Minot, they were Dickinson, they were everywhere. And I go, well, how the heck do I figure out if I'm moving to Pembina, how do I find the jobs in Pembina? And so I wrote to Mary Hudek, I can't remember how she pronounced it. And she says, you have to go to enter Pembina County in the city-state county, zip field, and click search. Scroll to the bottom of the search results field and click on change job search criteria. Then scroll to the bottom and click on advance. Then click on North Dakota in the area selection area. Click to change North Dakota. Then change the area type to county and select Pembina County. Then click set areas and click. I mean, you know what? People are already gone, forget that. I can't find a job in North Dakota if I want to live in Pembina. And so create little videos that make it easier. And they use a vendor that does this, so I'm not blaming the state. Other states do the same thing. But if I want to move to St. Thomas up the road here, I don't know how to find a job anywhere near there. Go through that whole thing. And so create videos. 66, just a couple more. So create a small travel book. I love this thing. This could be done in, let me just, I think I have a page here for it. It's this little book I'm going to show you. This is Door County, Wisconsin. And what they did is pretty awesome, and I hope I have a picture of it. But this could be a private sector thing. But what's really interesting about this little book, a guy did it that has nothing to do with tourism. He was a contractor there. He passed away a couple of years ago. He's an older guy. But he did this 101 things to do. I think you should do the hidden gems of North Dakota's Rendezvous region. And he has printed, before he passed away, he printed 50,000 of these. And Wisconsin State Parks started surveying people that bought these. They surveyed like 3,000 people, said, you bought one of these, do you mind if we follow up with you? What they found is that 97% of the people that got one of these hidden gems or 101 things to do in their case came back at least 4 times because of a little book they paid $15 for. And he made $5 a book. And then the chamber, whoever sold it, made $5 a book. I mean, it's an incredible opportunity for somebody to do. And then work with historical sites and attractions on social media, cross-selling. We're working the Train Museum in Concordia, Kansas. They had incredible displays, but they did a cool thing. They put these out. I didn't see this in hardly any of your museums where you're telling people to share their experience on social media. But they had these on every counter. boost that presence. And so we want you to do that. And we want every one of these places to put an easel out there, and on that easel, cross-sell the next nearest attraction. You want to keep cross-selling to the next tour, the next historical attraction all around the state. And then, there it is, $46. So you do 20 of them, and you get them out there. And our last one. Begin integrating the arts across the prairie into the region, because I think it's really cool. Nebraska's done some, and I think this is a really cool idea. I did put it down the road a couple of years to get you ready, but you can't believe people want some cultural depth, and that's hard to find in this region. And so do that. And so with that, I just took way more in my time, and they're probably in panic mode here. I think what you have here is absolutely astounding. I think it's fantastic. I think the way you can leverage this by getting campers and families and groups of people, by taking Frostfire to a whole next level, by promoting your historic, you could do this. I just beg of you to gather the money and give these 3 people at the Rendezvous region the chance to do this, because if you have a full-time effort, it's amazing what you could do. And I'll tell you that Julie Grand Forks, that's been sitting in a lot of these meetings, and she's had a lot of other things she could do in Grand Forks, can answer any of your questions. She's been there. It's great to have a resource like that. I'm going to have to ask her, what did you think? I'll probably get an earful. But generally speaking, you've got expertise here. They're willing to help you, whether it's at the state offices in Bismarck, whether it's Julie, whether it's Fargo, wherever it is. I think what you have is absolutely amazing. So what happens here? We're going to be meeting with the Frostfire Board in a couple hours to figure out where they want to go. But other than that, all of this is going to be online. If you follow the Red River Regional Council on their website, we'll have this presentation. We have video. We will probably, hopefully they can break it up into chapters, like here's the first 10 recommendations, here's the next 10, maybe list them so somebody doesn't have to watch 3.5 hours worth of presentation to find out what's specific to them. But I think what you have is amazing. There's no reason why you can't succeed. And you're doing this entire program, other than wayfinding, for about $500,000 a year. And you do that for 3 years, you're going to be on the map. You're going to be on the map. You're going to be on the news in a good way, besides floods. You're going to be on the news, and people are going to say, this is a pretty cool place. And with that, that's all I have for you today. If you have questions, I have business cards up here. You could grab one. You could email me. This is a draft plan. We expect cities and counties to sit down and go through this and say, Roger, could you move this one up here? And could you move this one down here? Can we rearrange some of these? We're wide open. This is a draft. And so you'll get copies of that. I would urge you as communities to sit down and say, what can we do? What is our role? And be there. And with that, thank you so much for spending the whole day coming out here. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Stacy? I don't know if Don has some parting words. It's got instructions on the side where say hold down the left button. Oh, okay. Even though the right button has the on-off sign. There you go.
I just want to thank you all for coming.
Try it now.
I so appreciate
There
your
you go.
time, your investment, your presence. I just encourage you all to go grab that draft plan off of our website, redriverrc.com, and take a look at it and figure out what's applicable that you can be working on in your community. We're happy to come up and speak with you if you need and provide some cheerleading. I know Misty Coop is here from Frostfire. She just wanted to share a couple words real quick about the summer production of Sound of Music. She's the only plug we're allowing. We've been asked for the mic in a lot of places today, so.
I'll just be brief. They asked me to be Maria at Sound of Music, so we're doing Sound of Music up there. Those beautiful hills, the hills are alive with the Sound of Music. So this would be a great year to encourage people that haven't been to Frostfire to check out the theater. We've been there 37. This is our 38th summer having theater up there. And some people don't know that.
And when are your shows?
Shows are always the middle of the summer. We always open the last weekend in June. We always And the first weekend in August, which happens to be July 31st this year, we do a Wednesday matinee, a Sunday matinee, and our Saturday night is at 6 p.m. so that Canadian traffic can get home. And and so it's not too late as far as traveling home, doing a day trip. We do lots of buses coming in and out, and that would be something to piggyback on as well. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll tear down pretty quick because I know they're.
I'm gonna probably just hustle back to the office to set up.
Yeah.
There.
And when do we start there? 5:30?
3 o'clock.
We are?
The Rendezvous Region.
Oh, I thought we were meeting them tonight. Oh, the Rendezvous Region, 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll get there.
Those folks have been here today.
Yeah, good. Well, that's what we want.
Well,
I'll hurry to get up there. Did I use your name in vain enough?
Well, you made me sound good, so.
Well, you do a great job. Are we going to see you in a little bit?
Yep, I'll be
okay.
there.
All right. Yes, right up here. You bet.
Another guy will give one to you
There's,
right away.
there's 3. Is that enough?
Excellent, thank you, buddy.
You bet. You would love to hear from you. Oh, thank you. This place is great. It really is.
Graduated in 1970. I left grad.
Okay. I was a class 71, so
Came
yeah.
back 2 years ago from Denver.
Oh.
40 years.